Your favorite podcast now has merch.
We have some limited exclusive t-shirts. One is this Castlevania-inspired Belmont shirt that is absolutely phenomenal. We have that custom artwork created. The other is this cutesy Portal-themed Thinking with Portals t-shirt. If you want to support New Game Plus, you can. Limited time, though. We only have a small number of shirts that are available, and they're selling out fast.
When they're gone, they are gone.
You
Get
can go.
yours now.
You can go to ngppodcast.myshopify.com and get yours today. Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan.
And this is episode 432. And if you can't tell, we are together.
Forever.
For
In
the
the
next
same room.
for the next few hours.
Yeah,
That's pretty sad. Don't talk
but
about
also forever.
We are nearing the end of our annual Couch Co-op 2024, and it has been a blast.
It's
that.
been so fun.
As always. But this year, I think we improved some stuff. It was a little better.
Yeah, and disproved some stuff.
Always. That's always going to happen, apparently. We're cursed.
We reproved each other
I
a few times.
knew you were thinking for a third word.
Yeah.
And so this whole week, we have been hanging out with our community on stream and off stream. We've been creating content behind the scenes. So in the coming weeks, you'll find some stuff on our YouTube, podcast, other things, social medias that we've been working on behind the scenes for you and for this very special episode. It's special for many reasons.
I mean, we'll get to that, but yeah.
But if for no other reason, it's special because we are in the room together like we are once a year.
Yep. My foot is literally touching Dustin's foot right now.
It is. Question of the week to start us off.
Ooh, in person? Question of the week.
What is a game that you're better at than anybody you know?
Am I allowed to just say yes?
Of course
Only
not.
if it's correct.
That's not correct.
Okay.
If there's an implied asterisk there of like, yeah, some exceptions.
I wouldn't think any of us are braggarts, but this is your
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
opportunity to say, hey, look, I'm a humble man, but I could probably whoop most people in this. The problem with me is that these are not the kind of games that I typically play. Games that like you can tell you're better at than someone else.
Right, you play single-player story. I'm
That's
better at Baldur's Gate than you.
Contrarian
True.
here.
No, no, not the contrarian part. You mostly play
Yeah.
uncompetitive games.
Right.
Which, why?
Because
No, that's fine.
I don't like to make people feel bad.
I don't either, but sometimes
No.
people need to get whooped at a game to know they
Right.
suck.
No, you don't like to not win.
Listen, honestly, no. I mean, I want to win. Everybody wants to win.
Of course.
And I'm not as competitive as most people. I just don't like. It's not just about the journey. It's also about the destination. And
Ooh.
I don't want to. But also, I just enjoy slow roll. I don't want my heart racing.
Ever?
Rarely. It doesn't feel good.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. I have
Okay.
a decent answer here. And it's been a while, so this is probably not true anymore.
Been a while.
But at one point in my life, you couldn't mess with me in Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Really?
You couldn't.
Who was your main?
Marth.
I would tell you this for sure that you would beat both of us.
Oh, I know that's true. I'm
Absolutely.
just saying I was nice. Okay, and that Marth Tipper, I had the sweet spot. I knew the spacing, and foxes weren't messing with me. Of course, Jigglypuff wasn't messing with me.
This sounds like a foreign language.
I know it does, but Melee was my jam. I wonder if I picked up a controller today with someone who's decent, and if I could just fall back into it.
It's a little bit like riding a bike, but it would probably take some to get to your full form.
Good answer, Kenny. Don't say chess because
Are
that's
we-
not
not
true.
No,
say
it's
chess.
not true. Of the games that I play frequently, that's probably the one that's most obviously not true. Like I'm a fine chess player, but I'm not good at chess. I just enjoy it. How much are we trying to be purists on talking about video games overtly?
Wow.
I know there's a blurry line here.
Hopscotch.
There's not a blurry line.
There's not
There
a
is.
blurry line.
I play digital versions of board games all the time. Tell me, is that a video game or is that a board game?
Answer the question, and then we'll tell you on a stupid meter how stupid you are.
We'll applause you or
Okay,
boo
I'm
you.
significantly better than almost anyone I know at Catan.
Boo.
the digital version?
Both. It's the same game.
I don't know.
don't know if
Chat, what do you say?
Hey, chat.
That's your answer, Catan?
Yeah.
So are there no video games you're good at?
There's plenty of video games I'm fine at. Okay,
You changed
here's
the word.
Here's the thing. You said than anyone I know. I don't know that many people. So if the question is, am I better at a game than the two of you? Then it becomes really easy because I can list a whole series of games.
That's a sad loophole.
That you're better at than us two?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can list many.
Okay, Slay the Spire.
That's true. He coached.
He is
me
good at
through
those
it.
kinds of games.
Yeah, card
I had him
builders.
coaching me through that dice game that we
Yeah.
never finished.
Dicey Dungeons.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
I played it some without you because you gave up on
He's
me.
also much better at us, but probably a lot worse than a lot of other people at like the those intelligence games.
Intelligence games.
Age of
Okay,
Empires, the
rude.
strategy stuff, the strategy
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
RTS.
Absolutely.
I thought you were
Intelligence
gonna
games.
I thought you were going to
That
say
is not
RTS.
what those games are. But but I'm not a great RTS player. Just better than y'all. That's a low bar.
My answer, better than most people, and it's timely, but I want to be very humble about it. I don't think I'm like excellent at these games, but something about these games surprisingly works really well with me, and I'll give you a couple. But Hades, I somehow was pretty good at.
You are. You're
I
a good
mean,
Hades player.
We got to see that last
We
night on
played
stream.
Hades too last night on stream. You can find it on our YouTube channel
And you cleared the first boss first try
with one boon.
Yeah.
with no build. I
You
mean,
got
that's-
so much further with a terrible build than I did, and I had a bop and
That
build
rush
going,
build.
and then I just couldn't perform.
I saw someone on Discord who will remain nameless, who announced last night that they beat Hades, and they were the original one. They were looking through their numbers. I think they beat Hades. They beat the game the first time or whatever. I don't know if it was the first. They got 166
what
Attempts
before
they beat it.
Oh.
That sounds about like what it probably took me.
Oh,
Maybe not quite.
I was gonna say that's a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot.
I'd say that's on the higher side, but mine's on the lower side.
yeah, you were a freak.
I got to the last boss at 8 attempts, and I beat the game at 11 attempts.
Which is
Wow.
insane.
That is kind of crazy.
I found the shield.
That shield carried you.
And then Dead Cells. I've mentioned that recently. I put some good time into that, and there's some comparableness is a good word into that. That one I got pretty good at as well, and could do quick runs. Are you just gonna call out that I didn't actually beat it because on the 5th level I wasn't
No,
able
I was
to?
going to say
Okay.
you're a better platformer than I am for sure.
Well,
But
That's
he's a
something
better
you both
platformer
do
than me.
great.
Yes,
Agreed.
but I think what I'm hearing for you is roguelites. I mean, you know
He
how
like
to play
he like
roguelites.
he likes them more than he wants to admit.
I
think he
would
loves
admit
them,
it.
and I think he's good
Okay,
at them.
good. It's a great
there's,
genre.
There's a couple more really good ones that you haven't tried yet that I will send your way. Rogue Legacy is one of them. I think
Please
you'll love
send
it.
them my way. But I gave Hades and Dead Cells when we were supposed to just give one, but I gave two for the price of one. Like in our retro game of the week, Mary Kate and Ashley, Sweet 16, licensed to drive.
Overview.
Mary Kate and Ashley, Sweet 16, licensed to drive is a 2002 party game for the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube. A version did come out for the GBA, but we're not really talking about that because that was a different game. That game was different than the console releases.
It was a different game, and also that title is way too long.
The title is likely the longest we've ever done. Probably on our released episode, I won't include the license to drive because that's like the subtitle of the subtitle.
I feel the same way.
And when I was searching for the game, it was often under just Sweet 16. Well, not just Sweet 16. Mary Kate and Ashley,
Right.
Sweet 16.
Whenever there's a colon and an M dash in the title, that's not okay.
That's
That's
too much.
Too long. Like, we've had a couple of those, I think.
It's hard to avoid there though, because the whole point of these games is to identify who the game's about. And they already
names
have
long.
long names because you're saying two of them, and one of them has two names anyways.
It's not
And
just
so-
that. They sold their names are what sold their product.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
You
their
had to
brand.
have the name
You had to have the
in
name.
the title
That's
because
their
that
brand.
was the point.
And I'm not saying that's what they shouldn't have had.
Sweet-
License to drive is what they shouldn't have had.
Sure.
Or Sweet 16. You choose one or the other.
If in a world where you're stuck putting the entire name in there, you're absolutely right. I don't think a title with a subtitle is necessarily a bad thing. We
No.
see that all the time.
But a title with a subtitle and a subtitle is a subtitle of a subtitle. That's bad.
Yeah.
There's only one subtitle here. The name of the game is Sweet 16,
And
and then the subtitle is
we're
License
gonna
to
name
Drive.
it Sweet 16 Online.
And this is really good content. The
No,
developer,
people care about what we care about, and we care about ridiculous things.
the developer is in space.
we know them.
No way.
We know them. Do you remember a game called Magical Mystery Mall?
By Mary Kate and Ashley.
Correct. They developed that game.
We do know them then.
We have played another game from.
Do you want to know something else crazy?
What?
They also developed Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare for the Nintendo DS.
That's not true. I feel like
That
you
is so
said that recently on a different
No,
episode.
no, no. That's actually true. And so of course, like the ports of portable games for big games weren't good. And so they hired these kinds of companies.
You know, he could say something like that, and we would never fact check him.
Oh, we
We're
believe
going to
him.
Google that.
The publisher was Acclaim Entertainment. That one threw me. I don't think Acclaim always did the Mary Kate and Ashley. Might be wrong. They might have, but it was a version of Acclaim. So like a branch of
Yeah,
theirs. Like
yeah.
I don't remember.
It was Club Acclaim.
Club
which I
Acclaim.
think does their
Younger.
like
Yeah.
kids
Younger,
stuff.
sure.
Yeah.
Their kids branch of the Acclaim
Right.
name. And as Nolan kind of alluded to, this is our second, believe it or not, Mary Kate and Ashley game on the podcast.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'll say there's a billion of those games. It's kind of like, yeah, like dude.
Because
There's
that's crazy.
There's so many
numbers.
Mary Kate and Ashley games.
He's not being literal.
It's like the Nancy Drew games. There's randomly like dozens.
there
of
are
them.
more of them than you would have expected.
Yes.
I would expect a lot. Mary Kate
Yeah,
and
sure.
Ashley were putting actually. I bet people were really taking advantage of them because like they
Oh, I'm
had
sure.
so many movies. They were on shows obviously, and then they had they had toys. They had I'm imagining they had jewelry. They had perfume. They had
Yeah.
games. They had books. Probably everything.
I don't know if it was related to just this game or to the entirety of the games that were made, but
This game is what sparked what you're about to say
yes,
early.
but they got sued.
No.
The publishers got sued by Mary Kate and Ashley
For not paying them the royalties from
Acclaim.
this game and other games.
But then also as part of that, claiming that they like did brand reputation and a number of things that were problematic, which is just really interesting and sort of leads to probably there was some exploitation there.
That's sad.
oh, for sure. But
I mean,
this
all
happens.
of these are they're money grabs. That's what these games are.
But that those kinds of things, taking advantage of young kids that are in the industry, happens to virtually every single kid
I know.
in the limelight from back then to today and beyond. It's,
I bet it
it's
was
sad.
maybe worse back then.
Pray
too.
for Mary Kate and Ashley. And
No,
one of
actually-
the reasons why we should pray for them in particular, the craziest thing, there's no way that we could plan this.
No, I love this.
And we didn't even know this until someone in our Discord, I don't know, did the research and found out this week. It's absolutely mind-boggling. We are recording this, and yesterday
Yeah.
was the birthday of Mary Kate and Ashley.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Also,
birthday.
We're going to, on our social media, tag them when this episode releases.
Yeah, we'll be like,
And then-
If they'd like to be guests
Yes.
on our podcast,
Yes.
reach out. We'll talk about what it's like to have video games made about you and this lawsuit, and it'll be interesting.
also, Elizabeth, we want you on the show too.
Yeah, sure, you too. And any brothers in the family.
Yeah, brothers.
I don't know.
They need to get kicked out.
Real quick, before I share the story of this game,
Yes.
let's just run down the line. Mary Kate or Ashley, which one
Okay.
did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
stand over?
Ken?
I don't.
If you don't pick one, it's both.
Ken?
Okay. Mary Kate.
Mary Kate.
Mary Kate. I think Ashley's better, but
Why?
They're twins. They're the same.
You think her stats are better? IRL?
yeah, I think she had higher integrity points.
No, they're the same.
Literally?
To think that of twins is disgusting.
Hey, genetically?
Here's the story of Mary Kate and Ashley Sweet 16 License to Drive. The
Okay.
twins have turned, believe it or not, 16, and they are ready to rev some mad engine. So they are planning their sweet 16th birthday party. The problem is they've got to get their friends to the party. So after getting their license, they are jumping in their cars, and Mary Kate and Ashley, along with two of their friends, Tiffany and Claire, are out to try to get the most friends to bring to the party. And the one that brings the most friends to the party will be the queen of the party.
So this is toxic. This is popularity contest.
Toxic femininity.
Did you say mad what? They're wanting to do mad what?
Rev some Mad Engine.
Rev some Mad Engine. I can't remember the last time I revved some Mad Engine.
I mean, I rev Mad Engine every day.
Gameplay.
So y'all have played Mario Party, right?
I've heard of it. I played it this week.
Yeah. So Mario.
What did we think this game was going to be when we heard it?
Exactly. So I thought it was. I was worried it was going to be a kart racer. 'Cause it's
Worried?
called License to Drive. Yes.
That would have been great.
Please.
I would have played a kart racer.
I mean,
An MK&A kart racer or just racer when they're Sweet 16. Actually, that would be probably promoting bad car etiquette.
That's
Reckless
probably why
driving.
they decided not to go that path.
But any kind of like bumper car madness, I don't know, anything that was like car centric. What I wasn't expecting was a Mario Party clone, and the clone got deformed. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
It was all car centric. If what you wanted was car centricity,
A lot of
you
it was.
got it.
Yes, a lot of it was. Well, the board game, I guess, was car centric. Car.
Most of it was driving or driving related.
Yeah.
A
yes.
lot of it was.
So
Right.
Somehow
Most.
I thought it was I was going to be a kart racer, but somehow a Mario Party clone is worse.
Yes.
Way worse. Because don't clone Mario Party.
Okay, hold on. I
Anybody.
would say that maybe if it was a good clone, then I maybe wouldn't have been upset.
Yeah.
Mini
So,
games,
yeah.
mini games for kids or young kids, not a bad idea.
The choice to do a mini game I think is fine. I think it's great here. Even it works. I don't know Mario Party well, so y'all are gonna have to tell me how much of a
really?
clone this is, how much of a rip-off it
Brother.
is versus
Okay.
like is there a wall climbing mini game in Mario Party?
Okay, so it's not where the mini game. It's
No.
It's the setup, so that you're.
Then that's not a clone. That's a genre. Like they're allowed to do mini games without it being
no, brother.
a rip-off.
Brother. The board, game board that they're driving
It's a
around
board
on,
game as well. I get it.
is
then.
Mario
Okay.
Party.
Yeah.
Cool.
Different characters landing on the same spot, having to battle each other at the end of the round, battling each other.
Yeah.
In Mario Party, you're aiming for stars that you collect, and whoever has the most stars at the end, this is France.
So the structure of the game
toxic.
and how they do mini games is pretty
Yes.
rip-offy.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and the
Pretty
problem,
derivative.
one of the problems, is that in Mario Party, the mini games, by and large, excellent.
Okay.
Fun, phenomenal, fantastic, engaging. In Sweet 16, not.
Yeah, like 80% of what makes Mario Party games fun, in my opinion, is the mini games. They need to be on point. They need to be fun.
Well, sure.
But the in-between parts matter too. The 20% matters of the
Yes.
on the board
Yes.
really matters.
Yes.
And one thing that makes it better in Mario Party is that you don't have to wait 10 years for the
Character, the
teenagers
animation.
to drive safely to their spot. Maybe they were promoting safe driving. They were like going very, very slow. That drove me nuts. Every single time. It drove me nuts,
Okay.
Kenny. Just so slow. And why?
And
do we
no
have to-
skipping the animations.
No, there's no start to skip.
I was pressing all the buttons
yeah, and
to
nothing
try to
was
skip the
and nothing was
animation.
animations,
happening.
and it wasn't happening. So when you start the game, you have 3 different modes. You have adventure mode, you have bring it on, and you have arcade. All connected. Adventure is your main mode where you're playing Mario Party poorly. Bring It On is where you're able to. It's like you do multiple different mini games, and whoever gets the most, you can change the settings, but whoever gets the most wins in a certain amount of time is the winner. And then the arcade is just you are able to select the mini games that you're playing.
More of, I almost view that as like a practice mode, kind of for the mini
Sure.
games. Like you can just experiment with those individual.
And I
games.
think that's nice to have those modes. So I think that setup is I think the setup, and I think maybe you were saying this, Kenny, the setup is not what's bad here. I think having a Mario Party
Yes.
clone, having mini game centric stuff, and then having the different modes where you can get straight into the mini games or playing a different way if you don't want to do the board games, great. But if your primary mode is adventure, and well, if the whole game is built around mini games, then the mini games need to be fun. And if your primary mode is adventure, then the board game aspect, the 20%, needs to be
Smooth,
good.
quick, unintrusive.
Unfortunately, both of those asks
Yeah.
aren't there.
No, I give them a pass for the modes. Board game mode, like normal Mario Party mode, fine. The other two, great to have. That's not the issue. But like all the other Mario Party things are there. This is a rip-off. Sometimes we talk about how games use it for inspiration, and that's fine, right? This is a straight-up rip-off, which is not good because listen, all the mechanics are there. You're not rolling dice, it just rolls for you and you go. But then if you land on a spot with another player, you can do one-on-one. There's 1v3 minigames, there's free-for-all minigames, etc. Like they didn't try to change it at all. And maybe you don't have to change that, but there's just nothing new. It's super boring. But when you're not in a minigame, it's so boring.
I think that if it would have been done well, then my complaints wouldn't be with that it's just a copy of this.
We wouldn't be talking about this.
We're not asking them to innovate with a Mary-Kate and Ashley game.
No.
So honestly, taking an idea that was successful and replicating that, even if it's duplicating that, but doing it well. So it's not the same mini games because you can't do the same mini games because it's Mario themed often.
Right. And they did try to fit into this driving theme.
Right. A specific, yeah.
So as much as you could, they did games that had something to do with that. There were exceptions there, but like they were trying to make it feel like this Sweet 16 License to Kill thing.
Nope.
But
Wait a minute.
Drive.
Sorry, MK&A.
Don't kill.
So let's talk about the mini games then. How about that?
Yes.
There are over 30 of them, but that's a lie.
That's a lie.
It's a lie because a lot of them are just reskins of the same.
And they're counting those.
Yes, they're counting those.
Because when I
separate.
saw that, I heard that it was 30. I was like, no, there's no way. 30. That's 22 many.
What?
No,
22.
30 would have been the right amount if they'd gotten it right.
Okay, so you have when you're playing the main version, you've got two different boards, and so they work the same, but you've got the beach board or the mountain board, and so in Mario Party, there's different boards as well. Yeah,
There's
I
maybe
think
not
there
in
are.
all of the games.
Yeah.
I think later certainly there's
Sure.
there's multiple.
and just like Mario Party, you can move around the board. Rather than rolling a dice, you have this random speedometer. I think it's supposed to be
think
like
it's
a
an odometer.
odometer
I think.
meter, and it's going 0 through 10 really fast, and then you just randomly press a button. There's no skill there, and then you move that many turns, and then you land on a spot. Then you go into, and so it's either beach themed or mountain themed. So are the mini games largely. So on the beach, that's where I started. That's where it's preset. You've got games like, let's see, I put some down on a list. You've got a kayak. You've got a weird radio game. You've got travel trivia. You've got some beach themed. They're not all beach themed, but you're riding around on a jet ski. So it's not all cars, but there are a lot of automobiles.
Right.
In the mountains, you are doing some of the same things, but instead of like a jet ski, you're on a four-wheeler.
Yeah, the Desert Dash one. That's the one I enjoyed
Yeah.
the most. I mean,
Oh, you enjoyed?
well, yeah, if I had to pick one.
But then some of them are not really themed to either one. One of the worst ones for me was called Fashion Flyaway.
Oh
And it
my
was a mini
goodness.
game where just clothes were flying off racks. And you had to grab your character's colors, which I don't know how you know your character's colors to begin with, because there was no indication
car.
of that.
The car is the
car.
only indication. That's the same car model too. Just it's colored.
See, I
differently.
didn't know
But
Mary
you have
Kate's
to-
favorite color.
You have to remember the car color in the games.
Yeah.
because you're not. It doesn't.
Well,
have,
but also, so I tried to catch pink at first because I thought that was Mary Kate's favorite, and I'm sorry, MK. I
You
know
were
that's not your
wrong.
favorite. Blue is your favorite, and so when pink wasn't working, the only other option was blue. But still, not only is it a bad kind of format of a minigame, they took about they were 3 times longer than they needed to be. Almost every single minigame.
yes, and also, okay. So for the desert.
You know in the nope Desert Dash is what you said
Dash
earlier.
one, the 4-wheeler one.
Yeah.
That one you are collecting gas canisters, I think, and then returning them back to your pedestal.
Okay. Not a bad idea.
No. I think that's a solid idea, and like so part of Mario Party minigames was like messing other people
Yeah.
up, Kenny, like pushing people off of a cliff, and they do that perfectly.
Sure.
They do the troll thing really well. And this one, it's they tried to do that, but like, you can't sabotage a lot. But that one felt more Mario Party to me. Just collecting those
Gotcha.
canisters and getting back to the thing. But dude, they are long. Why?
They're long. They're long for no reason.
Yeah.
And you can't end them early. So it's like I think almost every single one is basically time based.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what the timer is, but it felt like 5 minutes for each one, which is too long for a mini game.
So then, yeah, go ahead.
Let's talk through some of the other mini games as well, because there was a little bit of variety here. Not 30 of them worth.
name
just
one.
Some reskinning. But we did
Find your friends.
we did Traffic Frogger.
that one I didn't. That one has a cool concept. It was jank.
Yeah, it was a little.
But-
a lot of them were janky, but we should talk about that as its own
You start on
thing.
the far right lane. You need
Right.
to move across to the
There's
farthest left
moving
lane.
traffic, and you need to migrate across it. It's an interesting. It could work as a mini game on its own.
Yeah,
You had a rock climbing game where you had to.
but that was awful.
It was terrible. I'm not trying to say
No, I
any
know.
of them.
I'm not
weren't.
saying you're defending. I'm just giving
You-
commentary.
You had a fashion-based game, not the one where the clothes fly off the rack.
Oh,
the
you
one
take
where they
pictures?
take pictures
Yeah.
and they strike certain poses, and you have to take a reticle and freely
Shoot
move
them.
it on the screen
Right.
onto the person you're trying to select. That is the picture that is up, and select. And let me just say, best indicator that a game is gonna be janky is if they want to do something that should be a mouse, they don't find a way to translate it to a controller, and they give you a visual indicator on your screen and let you move it around.
What else were they gonna do?
A million things, but not use that interface. Even your character select, you had to do that.
You had to move it all the way up to a corner.
The far corners.
Why wouldn't there be 4 full-size pictures of a character?
Right. TMNT has 4 characters that you
Exactly.
select from,
It's
and they
interactive.
do it really normally.
You have to put your circle around a circle in the far corner.
If
It's
you're
interactive.
a game that
Quit saying it.
It
fakes
is.
being a
What does that mean?
mouse
Interaction.
and doesn't embrace what a console should do as an interface, you're missing the point.
So you've got. Okay, did you like one of those mini games more than others, Kenny? Did you say?
Oh, sure. Of course, there were better ones and worse ones. A few of them were somewhat enjoyable, although I will say the first time the
Radio.
racing came on, it was one of the earlier races I had, so I didn't know what to expect. And I was like, oh, great, we're going to also get to do some racing. This
Yeah,
could
I
be
thought
kind of
s-
fun.
yeah.
And then a single screen pops up, and it's the tiniest little circle. It was, I think I did the like the jet ski one first, and it's literally just one
Oh, it's
like circle. You
the
just
laps?
make a
Oh,
lap.
the laps.
dude. It's
You
so
don't
small.
go through a whole course. It looks like the when you go to a theme park, like a water park, and
Yeah.
it's a lazy river, but like
Sure.
the smallest one you've ever seen ever. And I was like, I got to get around this 4 times, and it's over. It was ridiculous.
There were no mini games that I enjoyed.
And I think that's
Um,
very normal.
There
of
were
you.
some ones that were worse than others, though.
Sure, the radio one was the
Bro.
worst one,
in the first play.
Yes.
that one. That
Yes.
dude. I still don't know what you're doing.
which I can't wait to talk about the soundtrack here. But you've got a picture of a radio, and you've got if the 4 people are playing at the time, then you've got a little button, and when a button from your controller shows up in your little button frame, you have to press that button. That's what you have to do, but it didn't explain it well.
So it's like a quick time event kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
I'll actually say that I held up my hand because I actually disagree. There was one game that I actually thought was almost fun. We'll talk about it. I don't know if you got to play it.
Trivia?
We'll see. No. There was a least favorite of mine, though, which was trivia.
You don't know your Mary-Kate and Ashley trivia?
I didn't get Mary-Kate and Ashley trivia. I got
Driving?
transportation trivia.
And you don't
Yeah,
know
or
about
driving.
cars?
Oh,
He doesn't drive.
I won, but it was
Passenger Princess.
dumb. The whole mode was ridiculous in how it was handled.
I thought that
the
was fine.
questions it gave you, the answers it gave you. It was just.
Were you about to say one that you did
so
like?
cringy. Yes, one of the ones that I liked more than others, and I actually think had some promise to be kind of fun, was the cupcake game.
It was jank.
I didn't even see that.
It
one.
was sort of their equivalent of like a Guitar Hero.
yes.
It was
Cupcakes came down.
coming
You
down
had
a
to press the
conveyor,
button.
and as they come, depending which channel they're under,
It was bad.
That's
as they
good.
move under the
Why
cupcake, you
cupcakes?
have to hit the right button, and it applies the appropriate decoration to that cupcake based on you timing it correctly.
Okay.
And it speeds up, and it like adds some non-cupcake things that look sort of like cupcakes to fake you out. There was
Cakes.
it was almost a fun little game.
Okay. It was almost a fun little game.
Yeah.
So you get the mini games that are too long.
Yep.
You've got the driving to your tile that's too long.
You have mini games that are too confusing or too complex.
that
or
don't tell
janky.
you the radio thing is ridiculous. I
Right.
still don't, I think that's ridiculous. But then in Mario Party, game progression is a thing, and some people, this alienates a lot of people. I think some people hate the way that Mario Party is balanced because you can like steal people's stars, you can like knock them out of the race completely when they were doing really well. But it still has that component to it, and the different tiles interact with the game. This game, dude, why are so many of the tiles punishing? I felt so much more punished even than Mario Party landing on ramps.
It's to lengthen the game. It has to be.
That feels terrible.
But, well, I don't know if this, and I would imagine there's something comparable to Mario Party, but there were at least two kind of punishing circles that you could land on, spots that you could land on. One was a player event and one was a board event.
Yeah.
And so board events changed the board, but it could be like lower the speed limit, which I don't really know what that meant, or it could open up a bridge or close a bridge, or it could rearrange all the spots. I don't know if Mario
that's
Party
insane.
ever did that. That's
Not
really
f-
bad.
Not fully. That's so
A-
random.
And then you could do a player event, which is player centric. So it's like
Lose 5 coins.
Yeah, or lose 5 coins, or reverse back, or lose your next turn.
Lose your next turn.
Yeah, there was
bro.
a lot of
Dude,
lose your turn spots.
The balance here is
Yeah.
a joke. The other things that we've talked about are jokes too, but like that to me is the worst part, is that they just put tiles on the board and didn't think about the implication of how it was going to affect
Well, no
the
one
game.
played this game.
No one played the game, first of all.
No one play tested it.
Right. It's just crazy to me.
They developed it because they had heard of Mario Party, and
Yes.
they're like, it's probably good, and then they sent it out. Which you do for younger audiences, they
That's
do.
enough.
They're
That's
just
enough.
trying to get out a product, and they did.
Yeah.
One of the components that could have been good but wasn't is that you're collecting keys throughout minigames. It never tells you really what they are that I saw. But those are the coins.
Yeah.
Those are coins or currency that you can then use because there's a store in game.
Yeah.
And so you can actually shop and get some items that could be cool that affect other players. So like you could spend some coins or keys to get a tow truck, for example, that would move an opponent's car to a different spot. Or you could get a cell phone that takes you directly to the closest friend space that you can then pick up. So there are things like that, but it was implemented poorly and they're just scattered around, so you don't know why you're collecting them in the first place.
You know what's the funniest thing to me about that too? They're keys because of like keys
Of
license
course.
drive, but they're like Zelda keys, like old school
Right.
looking, like open the door rickety.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look like dungeon keys,
You're not
not
gonna
like
start a
car
car
keys.
And it was
Yeah.
confusing because they're in the mini games.
You collect them in the mini games,
Right, which
and you take them out, and now you have like.
but they don't do anything in the mini games, so
no.
it's so confusing.
No, exactly. But you have a counter in some of those mini games of how
Yes.
many keys you're earning in it. Like it's going to matter, dude. What you're right. They might have randomly added these things and not tested anything.
Can we also talk about how bad the logic for your automatic opponents work? Because you can play this with real people, but
But only
Oh,
2 players.
talking about
it
the
right,
AI?
seems.
yeah, you 2 players, but the AI
Yeah.
of
Tiffany?
the other characters.
Claire,
Y'all were playing only as Mary Kate and Ashley.
brother. Yes.
If anyone plays this game and it's like, I can't wait to play Claire,
I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't think I selected. Is Claire the redhead?
I don't
Press
know.
1 in the
all
chat
I,
if you're a Claire fan.
I've got eyes only for MKNA.
Okay.
Okay, well that's why you were playing this game. I am a purist. If I'm playing a game, I'm picking based on color theme, and I obviously went with the green character.
Oh,
Which is
you.
not Mary Kate or Ashley.
It was Tiff.
You did a TIFF run?
I don't know if it was Tiffany or Claire.
He's a Tiff main.
It was the bottom
can't
right
believe it.
girl.
Tiff
It was
main.
the
Can't
green
believe
shirt,
it.
red hair.
Oh, we don't know.
girl.
We don't know, but
Regardless,
Irregardless.
What were we even saying? I was making a really important point about something.
this game's good.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I love this game so much. Oh no, the AI, the characters.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
You can like
Well, yes.
it's so bad.
I need an example.
As an example, I got to a point where I was playing the rock climbing game,
Bad.
which is a terrible game,
Yeah.
and I was losing.
Yes.
So I put my character in the way of their character so they couldn't get to a gym.
And froze the game.
They couldn't do anything.
And see,
They wouldn't go around you. They
Bad.
just sit there.
And see, Kenny, that's
Denied.
that's what I'm talking about with Mario Party. How the AI is, well, maybe that's a whole different conversation. But the AI at least is winning. Like you have to
Yeah, it's
try
competitive.
against them. It's very
Right.
competitive.
Right. And that
Well-
that piece is important. If you're going to play these games, you need to feel like you're being challenged. You need to feel like there's a reward for winning. You need to feel like you care about the overarching competition that's going on and getting back at someone, and especially when you're playing it like couch co-op and socially, and the whole vibe of fun is like, ha, take that, no, ha, you take that. You got to build the whole ecosystem around that, and they didn't.
Yes, but
Yes, and
this game is for kids.
yeah, that's the thing. We're not talking about that.
And-
This is not for us.
Right. This
Sure.
is it's for an audience, and so we've got to keep that in mind.
Yep.
My wife really wanted me to actually like pay attention or to make sure that we reviewed it rightly.
Yes.
Meaning, and we try to with each game that we play. We're going to share our personal opinion because we're the one playing the game, but we need to do it with
Sure.
in mind who the audience was for. When we played the Land Before Time game, we were thinking, okay, would this work for children? When we played Barney teaches typing, this is not
That
what it
was
was.
not a game we played.
But we played a Barney game. We needed to determine if it was for that audience, and so we've got to keep in mind that I'm fine with it not being as competitive as Mario Party because it was for a slightly different audience. But that doesn't excuse poor AI. It doesn't excuse 5-minute mini games. It doesn't excuse
Sure. If tween girls are your audience,
Yes.
and they are,
which is not.
we don't-
We're not.
We're not
Never have
that,
been.
but we don't have a problem with you building games around fashion choices.
But the game
that
still.
makes tons of sense. Yes.
But the game.
But the game
needs to
needs
be
still be
good,
fun, or interesting,
or interesting.
right? Or make them think or challenge
Yes.
them in some
Yes.
way. It's yeah, you're almost, I don't know, like these games are problematic in some ways. It's almost disrespectful. No, it is, and we'll get there a little bit further, but like this game's kind of not okay.
That's what I'm saying. The premise is toxic. I'm gonna get more friends than you.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the underlying messaging of like nothing wrong with the femininity as a like theme. That works great. But when what you're communicating or how you're communicating or saying it carries other messages with it, it can actually be a problem.
Aged.
Okay, to the point about the audience it was made for.
Yes.
Okay. Games like this are hard stuck in time. It was for
Absolutely.
it was for an era, it was for an age group, and it was never meant to make it out of those categories.
Yeah.
Like honestly, we're at fault here for even playing this in 2024.
Well, right. So I do agree that it is a problem. I don't think that means that you can't do it, but it does affect how it ages, certainly.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think though, like whoever the developer is, Insanity, they aren't trying to make this game. It's not right.
Nope.
They aren't trying to make a game that's going to
Last the
playable.
ages.
They are literally trying to make a game that's going to make money for a few months.
Yes.
Right.
And
You're-
literally forget about it.
Yes.
You're cashing in on a fad.
Yes.
The fad of, young people being obsessed with Mary Kate and Ashley, and the specific phase they were even in their life. We're talking they're like growing up and 16 and this whole thing. Like that is very time dependent and makes it not age well. I mean, if you made a Mary Kate and Ashley game today, it'd have to be about like 55-year-olds or something.
They're not 55.
I know. I like hyperbole, but you know what I'm saying.
Now they'll never come on as guests.
Yeah, they're offended. Well, and also you have to know that like this developer wasn't like, can we please make this game for you? They had to have agents that were like, hey, we have an idea for a game for the twins that we want to make money, and they pitched it and said, okay.
But they likely didn't pitch it to the twins. They pitched it to the twins manager.
no,
the
that's what I'm
manager
saying.
signs off on
Of
it
course,
and all
that's
those
what
things.
I'm
I think it's gross. That's the problem. When look, I know I'm living in a utopia if I say and wish that all developers started with what are we passionate about and what can we give to people that they would love to play. If that started all game development conversations, that would be great. I know it's going to be different things. I hate when it's what can make the most money for the next few months.
Right.
but I think that happens way more than you even think.
That's probably the primary thing.
yeah, that's the primary thing, especially today.
Except I think there are a lot of companies that are not just what can make. Does this make it any better? What can make the most money for the next few months, but it's now what can make the most money for the next 10 years.
Oh,
Grand Theft
sure.
Auto 5 Online.
How many DLCs can we release in 5
Right.
years?
How
Skyrim.
Can we
Yeah.
get a subscription out of this
Yeah,
game?
It's-
yeah, all these things.
Yeah, people want to milk other people of their money. That's not a new problem, but it is a problem. And
that's why
was a
Hades
problem
2 and Hades and all of those games are the best ever, because that's not the question they're
Right,
asking.
absolutely.
They're asking a different question, but getting the same results or better results. Praise God. Now, it does age, but I think also any game based on a specific IP is going to have some aging things. We've seen it with movies.
Yes.
We've seen it with anything. When you bring something that's an IP on the outside into a video game, it's going to age to some degree or another. Even GoldenEye, right? It was 64 classic game that ages some because
it's
like
about a
James
movie.
Bond was a thing, and it was specifically about a movie. Now that's maybe a bad example because
yeah,
that
that's maybe the counter
that
example.
transcended
Right.
Yeah,
the movie. When you search GoldenEye, you're probably going to find the game first.
Yeah, you will.
Wow.
Yeah, that is cool.
But most other things. So that's probably bad. But you're following me, right?
I'm following you, and but I do think, and it automatically ages it, yes. But I do think those games you can always revisit those eras, and
Because you enjoyed it in that era, though.
for a lot of people,
Yeah.
for a lot of people,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, some things don't age as gracefully as others. When you have a video game about teenage girls and the main track of the game sings about how thin they are, and then these girls go on to have eating disorders, and you're looking at it in 2024 years later going back,
Let's get serious
it
on
does
NGP.
not age with class. Like
Does the song do
I was
that?
like, yeah, literally one of the lines in the like main track of the song is like, she's so thin.
oh, that is.
And every time I heard it, I mean, there were other cringy moments too, but like that one specifically, I was like,
She's
it's
so
just-
thin.
It's just
I mean, like, how
it's
does
just really tacky.
what kind of song? I didn't catch
It
that
was
part.
really
I
really
believe
tacky.
you.
Oh, absolutely. It's you'll have to go back and listen, and I mean, you won't ever go back to this game, I would imagine. But, ugh.
Throughout the entire game, the worst actual music was on loop the whole time.
Oh, dude. What
On the
was
board
that?
game, in the mini games,
Yeah.
the tracks wouldn't stop.
Yeah. I'm torn here because I do think the tracks were tacky and not like well written.
It was for the crowd that it
musical
was made for.
style though, yeah, that they delivered
Yeah.
very much was hitting what was popular at the time and who their audience was for. I
Yeah,
don't
dude.
I again, I think there were places that they made some poor decisions, like lyrically, and obviously it's not something I'm going to appreciate, but I felt like
Are you sure about that?
they hit their audience.
I absolutely.
And
think
so
that's
I have a hard time complaining about the music here. I actually thought, again, a couple of tracks were poorly done, but I thought they
you liked them.
they made music for their audience correctly.
But it was on
though.
loop.
Yeah, the loop is.
It
It
was too much. It was way too.
It wouldn't stop.
And what was frustrating is every once in a while you'd get into a different game or a different spot, and it would play a different song, and you'd realize they have a bunch of tracks they could be using here, and they still only used like that one track over and over and over again,
She's
even though they
so
had
thin.
the option.
I also think when there's lyrics involved, which is not common in video games, when you have background music, you notice that
Yep,
mess.
it's
like,
a little it's-
immediately.
It draws more attention to itself.
But that's also another thing that is to the developers' motivations here of just like creating trash to make money momentarily is they didn't create their own music. They just licensed a few tracks, threw it in there, didn't
Yeah.
create anything new, and that's the music.
That they were like, that's enough. That's sufficient.
That's not good. I don't know if there's a composer for this game. I wouldn't think there is.
I
mean,
feel like
maybe.
the main track is custom for this game. The one that looped
She's
and
So
was
Thin?
too many. I think that game because it talks
Song.
about like that. Yeah, that song talks about like your childhood friend and like things that feel very Mary Kate.
I remember that song, but other people had childhood friends.
It might. There were other
not
other
unique to
songs that played, and I was like, oh, I remember hearing this like on the radio. So there were songs they licensed, but I thought some of them were custom. I could be wrong. I don't know tween girl pop
You don't?
music from whenever this game came out at all.
look like
so
you do.
I mean, I should really. No.
There's also, I believe, ads in this game for their movies.
Good catch.
Crash Course.
You did that on your own?
On the bus. I didn't look this up to confirm. I wanted to ask because I saw Mary-Kate and Ashley Crash Course on the side of a bus, and I'm like, that's got to be a game or a movie.
That's so
As I
funny.
was playing on the board game is what Nolan's talking about, right?
yeah.
On the board game.
Well, this wasn't a minigame. But
Oh, on the board game component though, when you're driving around the beach town or the mountain town. There's billboards, and my wife was watching, and she said those are ads for their movies, like the movies of the girls.
Dude,
it's great. That's
so funny.
smart.
Really
I'm not
so
mad
smart.
at that.
That's brilliant.
No, do that.
That completely works.
That's actually
Yeah.
so smart.
Milk your brand.
Oh, sure.
Do your thing.
and it works. Like you're
Yep.
not doing it in a way that doesn't make sense.
Oh, it's there.
So I'm fine with that. It does age because those things aren't the cool movies anymore. But I also I'll say this. I don't think where the game suffers most. I don't think it's even in like the top 10 are the graphics. I don't.
Same.
They're not like the best thing on the what consoles, GameCube or the PlayStation 2 because PlayStation 2. But they're completely serviceable for what the game is.
Oh, I thought you were going a different path.
You thought they're
I
bad.
think they're absolutely cursed.
I'm in your camp here.
I think. I mean, so the character models, like
They're 3D.
they're technically 3D.
They're not great, but it's Mary-Kate and Ashley and Trisha.
Tiff.
and
okay.
Claire.
Tiff.
Why are you?
Tiffany
Why are you?
and Claire.
It's probably Tiffany, right? I mean,
Yes.
Well,
Why do you call her Tiff?
I call her Tiff because.
They're a little closer.
But dude,
They look like them.
No, they.
I mean, in a
absolutely
3D video
don't.
game.
They look them.
Dude, in some ways, I think Magical Mystery Mall has better graphics. I'm not kidding.
I think
I'm not
that's
tripping.
hindsight,
Nah,
bro.
man.
I think
That's
they're
crazy.
different kinds of games, but I was with you. I felt like for what they were trying to do, graphics were serviceable.
Wow.
Especially for the board game part, you don't need anything crazy there, and it's all what's happening. Like it's all completely fine for the audience for the time. It's not great, but it's serviceable.
It ain't serviceable, man.
It's gas station serviceable.
Yeah, maybe.
The animations are what killed me, though. It's the longest. You're having to watch the longest things. The nice thing is you're never having. I don't think you're ever having to watch AI versus AI. So thankfully they were smart with that.
Which is great. They skipped anything that you weren't directly
Yeah.
involved with because they could have
They
not,
could have
and
not.
that would have been terrible. You're right. You're doing a lot of waiting, though, not just waiting for the cars to drive and to watch those animations, which were too long,
Oh my
but
goodness.
also your load screens.
Yeah.
You had pop-ups in between that you could pass through them, but only after they had loaded. So,
They make the most of that, using it to tell you the rules of the
they,
minigame you're
they
about
do,
to play.
but it still feels too long.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
It still feels
But it's loading
longer
times.
to load than it felt like it needed to.
Sure.
And it was frustrating.
Yeah. If you want a copy if you want a copy for your PlayStation 2 or your GameCube, it's going to run you about the same. So the disc, used or loose, is only $7. And new, it's $30. That's not bad for a
It should
collector's
be
item.
free.
I think we communicated there's other games, not in this series, unless the series is Mary-Kate and
No.
Ashley.
Yeah.
There are other Mary-Kate and Ashley games, however,
Lots.
on multiple consoles during this time. This was the last, at
Yeah.
least with Acclaim,
It was
think-
Acclaim
I
went
think
under
last.
after this game.
because of the
No
of
way.
the suit.
I don't think
There's no
I don't
way.
think directly because of it,
If
but
NK&A took Acclaim down,
But the reason the lawsuit came about is they weren't paying out those royalties because they were going bankrupt. So like the company was already like going away.
the point is, if you're a Mary-Kate and Ashley fan, you can find plenty of games. But I would push you to the movies. Have you heard of Pizza? Pizza.
Give me pizza.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Edge of our seats here. I'll begin by saying Mary-Kate and Ashley, Sweet 16, License to Drive. You've heard it already. There's really nothing more to say. Is a bad Mary-Kate and Ashley game. Did you hear what I said, though? Did you hear what I said? It's not.
He's cooking.
It's not just about. Look, we played Magical Mystery Mall, and I'm sure there were bad things about it, and it didn't get our vote for New Game Plus
I gave it
status.
New Game Plus.
That's crazy. But it was good for the audience that it was cooking for at the time. This is not. I'm not against the idea of of trying to copy Mario Party. I think that could have worked, but all of the decisions within that were poorly executed. Mini games were too long. The mini games were not good. There were very few mini games that were actually challenging or good, and that's not just because we're excellent gamers. It's just because they were badly developed. There's other and better Mary-Kate and Ashley games to play. Hopefully, we'll be able to pull them soon on the podcast. No New Game Plus from me.
Yeah, this one's a hard pass for me. But I also wasn't the intended audience, not by any metric that you could choose. And so I do think you're right. I do think we have to take that into account. But even taking that into account, I don't think this was a great game. If I was a father of tween-age daughters and they brought this game home and wanted to play it, I'd be like, cool, waste your money. But it's not a good game. Like, they could do better. And so there wasn't anything... I think for as cash grabby as this game was, and as phoned in as it felt like it was, it could have even been worse. I really do. I didn't feel like, outside of it being tacky, I didn't feel like the music was completely off for the audience. I didn't feel like the graphics were completely off for the audience. I didn't feel like the concept of mini games was completely off for what they wanted to do. Definitely some shortcomings on the gameplay that are the main problem in my mind. Like, if they had made this the same thing, but more thoughtfully or more appropriately crafted, or just a better game, it would have been a banger for who it was made for. It wasn't. No one should play it, regardless. And yeah, you've got tons of Mary-Kate and Ashley media out there. If they're who you're into, go do any other variation of it than this.
So basically, in summation, TLDR, if they would have made a better game, this would have been a better game.
Yep. Absolutely.
No.
Go ahead and expand on that.
Kenny did already. like literally.
You didn't enjoy it?
We're all on the same page. I think.
It's not a good game.
Not a good
So,
game.
but to the point, we wanted to make sure we kept in mind that it was about like who it was made for and what. I don't think there's a lot of fun to have unless you just enjoy staring at characters that don't look like Mary-Kate and Ashley, and don't have a lot to do with them. I mean, you're shopping maybe or getting clothes and driving, but if you were 16 at the time, you weren't playing this. So no.
This was not made for 16-year-olds.
No.
This
It was made for 12 and 12-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that they would not like this game. That's my take. No, don't play it.
Do y'all know who Hanson is?
Yeah, the brothers. They
Do
still
you
make
think there's a
music.
Hanson video game?
No.
If there is, put it on the master list.
That means Mary-Kate and Ashley Sweet 16 licensed to drive is not New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? On our YouTube poll, we had 7% say yes, it's worth playing today.
7?
6%, 80% of that 7% are trolling.
Yeah, no, all of them are trolling.
Or it's Mary-Kate and Ashley.
Their team. It was their team.
Their PR teams out there hitting up likes.
30% said no, go play something else. And 63% have never played it before. I would have thought that number would have been much higher.
Even higher.
30 up likes.
Many from our community played along with us this week and wrote in their thoughts. We'll start with a very brief one. Conan said, the best thing about the Olsen twins is Elizabeth Olsen in MCU. Don't play
Watch your
MKA S16 LTD.
I will never tolerate Mary-Kate slander, so don't say that.
What about
Elizabeth
Ashley
is-
slander?
I'll tolerate that, but like
the same
Elizabeth,
slander.
Don't just say Elizabeth's better because she's a Marvel girl.
If you would have told 18, 16-year-old me, 15-year-old, 12-year-old me that Elizabeth Olsen would be the most famous of the twins,
You would have been like, "Who's Elizabeth Olsen?"
and how are there 3 twins?
Right.
All right. We also have some commentary from Shane. 16 minutes is all I really needed to know what this game was. A low-quality Mario Party ripoff. The minigames are not really fun and go on entirely too long, especially considering that this game really just helps to show me why Mario Party is so good. It also crashed before too long, but that may just be on the emulator. Didn't really need more time with it anyways. Definitely no NGP here from me.
So I was going to talk about that crashing that we kept running into with the emulator.
It's not the
but
game. It's the emulation.
Well,
It's
I
the emulation.
have to question if the original one had the same issue.
That would be
I would
wonderful.
Not be surprised. I would not be
Did
surprised.
you guys do it on the PS2?
Yes.
I did the GameCube version.
No crashing?
No crashing.
I had a crash on the PlayStation 2, yeah. It's usually when the there's a mini game where you have to do the mix and matching. You have to
Yes.
match the and that one would always crash. I don't know.
Games like, I don't feel like calculating this.
Hot Tamales said Acclaim is the exact opposite feeling I have trying to drive myself to complete one game of MK&A Beep 16. The opening song made me want to switch lanes immediately. After 2 rounds, I parked the car, got out, and walked back to Tartarus. Whoever gave the developers a permit to publish this atrocity should be sentenced to work in a BMV without air conditioning.
A BMV?
I think that's what it's called overseas.
Right.
They call them automobiles.
They call
They call them automobiles.
And then Jimmy Jacques said, "Oh my God, yes, this is real." Okay, so I was unreasonably excited when I saw this game being pulled, as I have anecdotal experience with it. This one time last summer, I went to a couple friends' house, and they had recently hacked a Wii U, calling the police, and had a bunch of emulated GameCube games on it. As they were adding a bunch of Mario games on there, they went one game too far down the
Are you
list
serious?
and accidentally added Mary-Kate and Ashley Sweet 16 License to Drive on the system. So as we
Whoa.
were scrolling through the list of games trying to choose what to play, my friend was about to hit good old Mario Kart Double Dash when from the corner of my eye, I read this title, and to their dismay, we all said, well, we have to play it. A few adult beverages later, we found ourselves laughing more than ever. Me and my boys ever have. Picture 3 large, heavily tattooed 30-year-old men having the time of their lives playing this ridiculous atrocity of a game. Was it the drinks, the game itself, or the sheer absurdity of the situation? Tomatoes, potatoes, or whatever the expression is. All I know is I will forever cherish my brief time with this game. Game, objectively, is absolute trash. We didn't finish one entire game. Easy NGP from me.
It was the drinks.
I love that.
It was the drinks.
It was the drinks. Also, we have been able to scientifically determine any game that you play with friends.
Yeah, apparently it's
Is
just
better.
better.
Way more
But
fun. Yeah.
That is so funny. One game too many. It makes perfect sense. Mary.
That's
right
so
after Martin, that's
funny.
great.
Yeah.
Get rest.
Thinking you're getting a Mario game and you get Mary-Kate and Ashley on there. For now, however, we are setting Mary-Kate and Ashley Sweet 16 Magical Mystery Mall License to Drive, License to Kill to the side, and we are randomly selecting, but not from our Retro Master list. Typically, week in and week out, we have a massive list of over 1,000 user-submitted games, listener-submitted games, and that's why we get games like Mary-Kate and Ashley Sweet 16 License to Kill.
Magical Mystery
The
Mall.
crazy thing is that every time we're together, it's never a good game. Last time we were together, we played Spyro Orange.
Yeah, which was an awful Game Boy Advance game.
This time we played Mary-Kate and Ashley. However, this week we are not randomly selecting from the Retro Master list because it is time once again for a Patreon poll. We are in the midst of our summer pool party. And that
Splash.
is a lot of fun because every summer you'll see on the screen right now, if you're watching on the video, on our Patreon, you are able to come and be a part of our pool party where every other week through the months of June and July, you can submit up to 2 games that are 15 years old or older. And from that much smaller list of games, we randomly select. In fact, we had many of our community send in games that support us on Patreon this week. We have Stats by Shane.
Stats by Shane.
That's by Shane.
40 entries on the PC. That's the top
Whoa.
console.
That's
That's a lot.
gotta be a record.
That's got me hyped.
We have 34 games for the PS2
That's also hype. Not
Okay.
surprising.
and then 29 games from the PlayStation.
Also not surprising. I think a lot of JRPGs in there.
Many other games from a smattering of consoles. We've got the most voted. There wasn't a big push on any particular game,
Oh,
but we do have 7 entries for Cave Story.
maybe that's some of the PC influx there too.
Oh, is that PC?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, it's on other things
Yeah.
now, but yeah.
we've got 6 on Azure Dreams. They're trying to push that JRPG.
I know very little about that game, but they were like, "Oh, this is perfect for the guys. It's got something for all of
I
y'all."
think it might have been a rental for me back in the day.
Okay. So you might
And then
be-
I'm just going to go through our patron the submissions and just call out a few individual games. Siegfried put in Castlevania Dracula's Curse for the NES.
yes, please.
Okay.
Systematic put in Sonic 1 for the Sega Master System.
Yes.
We haven't
Okay.
played that?
No.
Nope.
Weird. Crescent Moon 7 put in Graffiti Kingdom for the PS2.
No, we'll take that one out.
Nope, we're not going to do that.
Interesting.
Let's see. Hot Tamales put in Gundam Battle Assault 2 and Dokapon Kingdom. Sounds anime.
We'll take both of those off.
You stop saying that. Mark Hastings put in Super Mario 64 DS.
Yes. 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 That'd be sick.
Longshot put in Beyond Good and Evil for the Xbox, and I'll read one more. Justin put in Darkwing Duck for the NES,
Ooh, that would be fun.
and X-Men 2 Clone Wars for the Genesis. Both
Oh.
sound like great
Those
entries.
both sound great. Those are what I'm rooting for.
You can be a part of that
Yeah.
by just going to patreon.com/NGP podcast and join our Patreon for as little as $1. If you want to be a part of the summer pool party, that's $5. From that list, randomizing now. We're going to be playing a 2005 action adventure video game.
Good
Sounds-
year,
Sounds great.
good genre.
Doesn't seem super retro, but it is way over 15 years at this
Yeah,
point.
that's almost 20 years.
Let me not tell you that yet. Let me tell you the consoles that it came out on: GameCube, PlayStation 2, and PC.
All right.
That could be bad, but okay.
Well,
Could also be great.
it could be great. We just played a game that was GameCube and PlayStation
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
Mary Kate and
Called Mary Kate and Ashley Licensed to
and
Drive.
it was not good.
This game, I'll give you another thing. This game was submitted, I think, multiple times for our 8-year anniversary game. Remember that our listeners had to submit to us a game, but it had to have a theme.
Oh, of 8.
It
The
did.
theme
yeah,
was
the
8.
theme of 8.
A theme of 8.
Okay.
This game was developed by Grasshopper Manufacturer and Capcom and published by Capcom.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
that changed your tone.
that changed my
immediately.
tone. You said grasshopper.
It was submitted by one person one time.
Oh, wow.
It was submitted by Hey Brother. Hey Brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
Oh, that's probably what it is, actually.
It's probably that. The game that we'll be playing for the next 7 days that apparently had a theme of 8 is Killer 7.
What is?
Not 8.
I'm sure they connected it.
They're probably like, it's one less than 8.
No, I'm remembering. I think that there's 7 different like assassins or characters, and there's one secret one or something. That was the 8.
Okay.
Oh.
I'll buy it.
It's Killer 7, yeah. So I've heard about this. It's an action adventure shooter game. It follows an elite group of assassins called the Killer 7. Yeah.
That sounds pretty sick.
Oh, hey.
Interesting.
I'm not going to lie.
I'm thrilled. I'm
Yeah.
excited. It could be a lot of fun. Find a copy of Killer 7, play it along with us, our community, and Hey Brother this next week.
Join us in Discord. You can go to discord.gg/newgameplus.
We just want to say thank you to those of you who support us on patreon.com, including our director level supporters, Bro Jim, Super Hypered, and Siegfried, our large list of producer level supporters, including Alex, Alias X, Marlene, Antonin, Arlen, Yuki, Ben, Craig, Dustin's 5 o'clock Shadow, Garlow, Alex, Harold, Hey Brother, Jake, J Rubber, Jake, Jordan, Joey, Justified, Justin, Glenn, Levi, Maxima, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Sage and Shane, Shauna, Psycho, Snakematic, rather, Stephen Fox, Psychomantis, Thomas Turtle, Unbedavable, and Zion. We got a mouthful of stuff to read to you this week because we also have some new patrons, people who said Couch Co-op, yes, please, and joined us as patrons for the first time, including Ekrem, don't know,
Ekrem.
Cody Kitchen, Tins, Nate Wallace Gaming, who both upped their contributions, Rick Radley, also thank you for the up, Apicales, and Ken Gagney, thank you for your increased contribution as well.
Thanks, yo.
And we had a bunch of people hop on the bandwagon for trying us for free.
It's very cool.
You got a free trial offer this week to see what it is like to be a patron, and we had a number of people jump on that, including Cup Nats.
That's amazing.
Attack of the Brad, Dan Xcore, Carlos, Marcus, Crescent Moon 7, Eddie, Maslav, Cliff, Noni, Hobbit 68, Cameron, Matthew, Jonathan, and Mouse Cop. Thank you guys for giving us a taste.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
Yeah,
You can follow us on our social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Make sure you listen on any podcast provider of your choice. Subscribe so that you're the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our episode artwork was created by our friend Dave. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Killer 7. Until then, I'm still Trisha.
I'm still Tiffany.
Mary Kate forever.
And this has been New Game Plus.